Initiating podcast download. Prepare yourself. Put on your spandex. Lace up your boots. Wrap your wrists. Hide your razor blade. Head to gorilla position. Grease up your hair. Apply baby oil. Okay, apply more baby oil. Get into gimmick. Keep your ears open and your mouth shut. Have fun and be safe out there, brother. Welcome to Iron on Wrestling. Now your host, Gregory Iron.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Iron on Wrestling with Gregory Iron. I'm your host, Gregory Iron. This is episode 297. And there's only so many things that rhyme with 7. I don't know what I'm supposed to say that's brand new that isn't heaven or 11 or...
Pardon the Reverend.
Oh, that actually worked. Hi.
Yeah. Hi, it's Reverend Aaron.
Why, what are you a reverend of exactly?
The podcast.
Oh, okay. All
yeah,
right.
so refer to me now as Reverend Aaron.
Okay.
And good to see you.
Good to see you and good to see all of you. Hope you can hear all of us. Is your mic on, Aaron?
I don't know. Is it?
Yeah, it appears to be on.
Where's Eric?
Eric sitting at home, probably waiting for his question to be asked, or all 10 of his questions, or his bonus podcast subject, which we're actually covering.
Yes, the history of
Patreon.com.
Pokemon and all of the Pokemon in my Pokédex.
No.
Dude, what do you think about a shirt of us as Pokemon?
Pokemon?
Men.
Men.
We're men. And we like to poke things.
Anyways, we're doing his bonus podcast subject as well as anybody at the $9 and above tier. We're going back to the bonus podcast subjects, and it's been a long time coming, but I think it's a good way to get some unique conversations going, and we're going to do that with Eric's bonus podcast subject over on patreon.com/Iron on Wrestling, where he asked us to create a timeline in which, in real life, Roddy Piper was in a feud leading up to WrestleMania 12 with O.J. Simpson. This was a thing that was supposedly pitched back in late 1995, 1996, and so me and Aaron are going to come up with our own scenarios for it, but also I went to ChatGPT to see what they came up with, not only for that scenario, but an alternative timeline to where, well, now Goldust would need an opponent because, as we know, Goldust wrestled Roddy Piper in the Backlot Brawl at WrestleMania 12. So what the hell is Goldust doing at WrestleMania? We will compare and contrast what we have, read ChatGPT, try to fix whatever the hell they put, or maybe we don't have to fix it at all. You can check out that bonus episode, some current wrestling news, and much more over at patreon.com/Iron on Wrestling, starting at $3 for audio, $5 for video, $9 to choose your own subject and get involved with the live chats, which we're going to be doing sometime before the end of the month. $25 and up, you get involved with getting a package in the mail, which I actually just shipped out for the month of June. I'm on the ball this time. You know what I'm saying, dog?
Oh, yeah. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Are you on the banana ball?
I am now after you showed me all those videos.
Man, big shout out to Big Matt, friend of mine, who was looking to become a professional wrestling commentator, and I wanted to work with him. And then he got hired to be in Banana Ball, which is a dream of mine. So I'd love to commentate Banana Ball. My kids probably would be excellent players in that. So if anybody out there knows anything about Banana Ball, give me a call.
Well, Banana Ball is very unique, I guess, for those that don't know. It's similar to that of the Harlem Globetrotters. There's a little bit of flash, a little bit of flair with it, and I'm very intrigued. I would love to go watch some Banana Ball at some point. And I think you would make a great addition to any Banana Ball team.
I think so, too.
Are you ready to be a mascot?
Yes, yeah. I could dress up in a big banana outfit. Actually, I don't even have to dress up. I already got the big banana. if you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, where's the costume?
We don't need one.
Oh, wait, is that a penis reference?
Yeah, because it's
Oh.
big and yellow.
Oh, you might want to get that looked at.
Yeah, I shouldn't have said that last part.
Well, our intro and our outro is going to be a little bit shorter than usual. We're sticking with the theme of the month, and we're answering some of your mental health questions. We're doing it all month long, so if we don't answer some of your stuff today, there's always next week. And we've been getting a lot of positive feedback, and per the request of some of our Patreon subscribers, I went out, I did some looking, some questioning, seeing if I can get some people that were recommended for the podcast. And, you guys wanted it, so I made it happen this week. We sat down with the Cogar family, and we talked a little bit
John
about
Cogar Mellencamp?
Atticus Otis,
Little ditty about Jack and Diane?
Christian Napier, and
Oh.
we discuss life, a little bit of wrestling, and mental health. And it's going to be a very interesting conversation. He's actually got a documentary coming out on Thursday, June 26th. It's an Atticus Cogar documentary called Raw Reflection. So we'll give you some sneak peeks behind that. It's going to be exclusively on YouTube, I do believe, and should be very interesting. Atticus has always been good at filming things, and he's had a little bit of help with this one. And I think if you've heard a little bit of a story on the podcast in the past, it's going to be interesting to get a video representation behind all that stuff. And I know I'm looking forward to it, and we'll see where the conversation goes in studio in a little bit. But we have some things that we have to attend to, right? Everything well in your world? How's the GoFundMe going?
Yeah, GoFundMe's going great. It's still up if anybody wants to contribute, or you can send to me directly on PayPal. You can look me up. I'm at Fair to Air. So either way. And I'll tell you what, I felt a little bit like Shawn Michaels in the mid-'90s recently.
Did you pose nude for a magazine?
Well, I posed nude. You have the pics.
Oh. No,
I sent them to you.
You didn't send me the
They're in a file.
You didn't send me the pics. I was paranoid because I didn't know if you sent them to me specifically. So what I did is I have a burner phone, and I got the pics on my burner phone, and I took my regular phone, and then I recorded.
Well, you should burn your phone.
Okay.
Don't ever look at those pics.
Anyways, you were saying you felt like HBK?
Yeah, because I lost my smile. I really felt like it the past couple weeks.
Yeah.
Man, not having like a genuine smile, like forced, you know how that goes.
Yeah.
And I think I found it this weekend in Columbus, Ohio. Went to Ohio State for Special Olympics. I coached bocce ball and had a really good time. Came home. It was Father's Day, and my smile was here too. My kids were great. They gave me Dave's Hot Chicken, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
They had cleaned the house, got me a gift card to Buffalo Wild Wings.
Okay.
I like the B-dubs, as they used to call it.
Yes, I believe some people still do.
Yeah. So, been feeling much better. So that's an update on me.
Good.
Yeah. What about you? How's that pec?
It's healing. I did physical therapy today before I came here. I've been doing it every day on my own, but I've been doing a lot of it twice a week with my PT guy, Paul, up at University Hospital. So shout out to Paul. Good guy, really helping me out and keeping me physically and mentally motivated. And I, too, still have my GoFundMe posted if anybody wants to throw me a couple bucks, whatever. But I'm more concerned about Aaron's GoFundMe. We're actually going to be doing his raffle for the two buddies after the weekend's all said and done. I'll probably wait till I come back in studio next week. We can film it together.
Oh.
And so if you want, you can qualify to get a very rare Pile Driver Pal Gregory Iron buddy and Aaron Bauer Pile Driver Pal buddy, complete with alpaca tie along with his suit. And all you got to do is donate $10 to get one entry. Every $10 you donate gets you another entry. And just send me a message after you do it, and I will put you on the list to qualify for the raffle. It's for a great cause. It helps everyone out. And then you get 2 rare items that not a lot of people
Where do you
are going to have.
donate to? The
The
Iron Arm Wrestling?
We have the link posted for the GoFundMe in the bio on the Instagram, and I will be reposting it as I've been doing on Facebook and all that stuff. And if you don't,
But I mean, for the Pile Driver Pals,
what about it?
you send it to the Iron Arm Wrestling link, right?
You just send it to me.
Yeah,
Just send me a screen
Okay.
cap of it directly, and I'll put you on the list. And
You
we,
just made the list.
we really appreciate it, and we're not going to waste any more time. Like I said, more current news we're going to talk about over on the Patreon this week. I don't know. We might get a couple bonus episodes, and we'll see how time goes tonight. But I want to get to more of the mental health stuff because we've had so much coming in. Usually Patreon members get first priority with questions, but we're trying to play catch up here. We're going to get as many questions in as we can. And like I said, next week we'll be doing the same thing, mental health questions. So if you have something you want to ask, something that's on your mind, feel free to comment in the section below that I've been posting on Facebook. If it's something you want to remain anonymous about, please don't hesitate to send me a message direct. I will not mention your name, and, let's talk about some stuff. So, that being said, something that I was sent last week that I wanted to read this week. We get real deep in these ones. An old friend of mine, Mikey Zero, sent me some messages. Mikey used to run Mr. Chainsaw Pro Wrestling up in Michigan, and he reached out to me and he asked some of the following. So we'll see how much of this we can sort of dive into. He said, "What up, man? Hope all is well. How do you feel your relationship with your biological parents has affected you as a person?" So before we continue, because there's a multi-part question here, right off the bat, I was like, oh boy, that in itself is a very layered question. Let's start with you, Aaron. How do you feel your relationship with your biological parents has affected you as a person? Maybe is the easier way to go to start with the good one or the bad one?
Yikes. It's affected me. I see it in everyday life, but a lot of it, I could go down a bad path, and I've been on the straight and narrow for the most part. There's some hiccups along the way, and I don't know, man. I probably need to talk to somebody who knows more about this kind of thing than, because I have reflections on things, and I go, oh, well, getting choked to near death is an experience that I don't ever want to put on anyone else.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to try not to choke anyone to death. Yet, when I first trained, and they said, what move would you like to use as a finish? I was like, well, I want something that I could hit out of anywhere, and that maybe, my arms are kind of big, so maybe I could use them. Okay, I'll use a choke. The transmission. So, you know what? I don't know. Man.
Yeah.
Rough to ask me.
What good traits did you get from your dad?
My dad was there. He attended every game I had, every play I was in, every musical. When we filmed PWO, all the shows, he was at, a shit ton of my shows. And he even went around on the road with me for about a year or two with me and Brandon X.
Yeah.
Just wanted to film.
That's
just
awesome.
To be part of the experience, go on the road, go to West Virginia, go to Michigan, go to Cleveland. I don't know. So all those things I knew were very important. Because I saw a lot of kids that didn't have their parents show up at their baseball games when they were little and stuff. And I wasn't any good, so it was probably hard for him to show up to the baseball game.
Yeah, and bite his tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wish that I could have had at least that support system from one of my parents. I will say this before I actually delve into the actual question. I was just talking about with someone, my grandma and grandpa, and my grandpa when he passed away 10 years ago, and how he was the only person throughout my entire adult life that was always encouraging. Like from childhood to adulthood, he was the only person that always believed in any stupid thing that I wanted to do, and I value that so much. And but as far as like my actual parents in the relationship, I mean, it's affected me in mostly, I would say, you know what? I was going to say mostly negative ways, but I would say it's 50-50 because, and again, it's different for everybody. I feel like seeing a lot of the dumb shit they did long term, it's definitely had an effect on my mental health and some of my insecurities. But also, it showed me the things that I do not want to do or have any part in my life, like the drug addiction, the alcohol dependency, the abuse from like a man to a woman and a woman on a man, you know, just seeing my parents physically assault each other. These are all things that I can't imagine bringing into someone else's life, even in situations where, you know, me and Hannah have been broken up for a few months now. And one of the things we were getting into slight disagreements, right? I got no problem talking about this. And I've never been a person to yell and shout or anything like that. And it's probably because that's all I saw as a kid. Like I don't even want to call it an argument. It's like, I want to have a discussion, a civil discussion. And I can't imagine, I don't understand how girls consistently date these guys where they get yelled at and they get called a bitch. And I can never imagine calling a girl a bitch in like a serious fashion. I don't, maybe it's just because of what I witnessed. And yeah, I think my parents showed me what to do and what not to do. And I'm still working through some of the things that they put into my brain as a child. And, you know, it's going to be probably a lifelong thing that I have to deal with. And it's okay. As long as you're working through it, that's progress. Even the teeniest of tiny steps forward is a little bit of a step ahead, right? So you just got to keep going. Mikey also goes on to say, throughout life, have you sought the warmth and support and the discipline, a confidence through multiple people, sources, or have you found someone who provides all of those feelings for you individually?
I could probably answer this for you.
Go ahead.
For you and for me.
Okay.
Look, the biggest inspiration in my life growing up, when I was going through all that torture and all the hell, I looked to one person, Hulk Hogan. Yeah. As a kid, man, he was for America. He did what was right, even though he was cheating in matches.
Yeah.
Raking people's backs and stuff,
Sure.
throwing powder in people's eyes, I remember.
He loved
and
the
I would
irony.
always just try to justify it in some way.
Yeah.
But no, I just knew Hulk Hogan was the guy who kids would run to him when he was in the streets. I saw that video. And
Yeah.
I wanted to train, and I trained, and I said my prayers, and I ate my vitamins. They were Flintstone vitamins, but I was eating them.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
I think that was a very influential role model, and I think John Cena took that over, you know, as good as anybody could have.
Sure. Yeah, for the next generation, absolutely. And not so much now.
Then back then, we thought it was real.
Yeah, right.
My kids kind of knew that, you know, what was up because, well, for me, they were in the locker room with me a lot of times. I would bring them in there and I'd have to explain, you know, here, we're going to talk this over.
Yeah, so I would agree with that. Hulk Hogan was definitely an influence as a kid. It seems sort of strange, but the more I write about my autobiography, which I keep posting previews over on Patreon. And, you know, if you're on Patreon and you want more of a preview, message me. I'll send you some more stuff if you're interested because I'm looking for some feedback here. You know, more than I probably gave him credit for, as I was growing, so too was wrestling. And Stone Cold Steve Austin really had an influence on me that's definitely where I get my take no shit type of attitude because I saw that reflected in Steve Austin's character, right? Like that, the idea that the authority, the corporation was against him. And you put a glass ceiling over Stone Cold Steve Austin, he's going to shatter through it. No pun intended, right? And I don't know, like middle fingers and not trusting anybody and never backing down. And if you tell him he can't do something, he's going to prove you wrong each and every time. That fired me up. And I think in real life, I was always in search of a father figure, but I didn't think that actually existed in real life because my dad wasn't much of a good influence, right? And so I found that in my buddy Ron's dad, Mike Ozzie. He was a power lifter. He was a recovering alcoholic. He gave up drinking so that he could be there for his family. And he always seemed like he had words of inspiration. He was the guy that showed me Pumping Iron on DVD. And he was definitely a character in real life, but he was a real life person for the first time in my life that I could look at and go, oh, wow, like you could be an actual inspiration to someone and not exist on TV. So, and I'm sure there's a variety of other people that I can cite. He probably doesn't care for me to mention it, but like, you know, Johnny Gargano is one of the best people that I know. There's a reason why he's my best friend. His dedication to his family and his convictions, the things that he believes in, his patience. I wish that I had the patience of a Johnny Gargano, and he's a motivator. There's so many people that I'm leaving out, but that's kind of where I'm going with that. One last part to that question from Mikey. Furthermore, is that person external or internal? If you yourself are the source of those emotions and feelings, what spiritual journey did you take to arrive at this conclusion? So, obviously I didn't name myself, but I do feel like in a lot of ways, and I'm not going to go down a path of religion. It is something that I'm documenting again as I'm writing. But, you know, there was a part in my spiritual journey as a kid where I didn't give up on believing necessarily in anything, but I started believing, or at least trying to believe more in myself. So I do feel like looking at the external influences on TV and in my life motivated me to have more of a conversation, an inner dialogue with myself to motivate me and keep going. Like seeing other people succeed motivated me to keep pushing in hopes that I could get to the same type of level of success, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. What about you, Aaron? What about your internal motivation? Where does that come from? Do you have that, obviously?
Yeah. I think it's influence, again, you know, from the people that were in my life that I looked up to. And like what you said, the opposite, where it was people that you looked up to, but they did the wrong things, and you saw that, and that disappointed you, and you probably still feel that heartbreak, which like I did as a kid.
Yeah.
You know, when you really look up to, we're still feeling it now with the Hulkster. What a disappointment.
Every single day. Again, I say it all the time, and my brother, Zach, is like, it's like everything else. Can you separate the art and the artist? And I say, yes, but, and I've probably said it on this show, I don't want to prominently display my vast Hulk Hogan action figure collection because, you know, a few years ago, I was going to put it in my closet, and as a joke, it was going to look kind of like a little shrine, right? In a closet in the basement with all the other toys. Now, I don't want to do that because, like, it would be the equivalent to me, which I told my brother, if I walked in someone's house right now and they had an extensive P. Diddy wall with a bunch of action figures, if he had those, and albums and rare P. Diddy memorabilia, maybe like his own brand of baby lotion, I would say, hey, have you been following the news at all? You know what's going on with this guy? Is this a little weird? Like, and I'm not saying Hogan is doing anything on the level of P. Diddy, but he has done some questionable things over the years. His consistent lying, and, you know, depending on what side of the fence you're on, you know, his support of Donald Trump, it's not something that I necessarily want to proudly display in my house. Do I have a workout poster up in my gym? Yes. Do I have a cardboard standee of him in my gym? Yes. There is some stuff that I'm displaying, but I just feel like it might come off a little strange if I had a whole entire wall or closet dedicated to this man based on what he's been doing as an adult.
Do you have a poster of him coming out of the water on a beach in nothing but his blue bikini thong on your ceiling? Yes, maybe you do.
Not at this time. No, I don't actually. Corey Grant says, why do you think pro wrestling attracts so many people with mental health issues?
Yeah, we've talked about this before.
I think we have, but I think it comes down to you're lacking something. You're lacking something in your life, and that doesn't necessarily, that's not a negative per se, but I think there is something initially that attracts us about wrestling because it's larger than life.
Because it's almost real.
Sure. Yeah.
You know? And we try to envision ourselves as those characters, and those guys are getting to be who they want to be.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Well, and I think before we realize that they are also human beings with real issues, and like if you're a kid of the 80s and 90s, they were on copious amounts of cocaine that probably gave them superpowers. But you know, what it comes down to is like, it's twofold, right? You might be lacking something in your life and you want to be like these superheroes you're seeing on TV. And then I'll just say myself, for example, when I got into wrestling, I realized the thing that I lacked was, let's just go with, you know, the
personality.
Shut up. My dad, it was like pulling teeth to get him to say that he was proud of me. And so it wasn't always at the forefront of my mind, but I wanted to be able to prove my dad wrong, all of his criticisms of what I wanted to do with my life, and if I could be successful at it. And not only did I want to prove him wrong, but I wanted him to say, you know what, you're right, you did it, and I'm proud of you. And that, again, that's something that I felt like I was lacking, that not just a father figure, but my actual father. There were times when, even though I found it in, let's say, my buddy Ron's dad, and I had the support of my peers, I had like-minded friends when I started to grow as a wrestler that helped and supported me. There was a time when I started training based on, like, you know, reading in Mick Foley's book and how he talked about Dominic DeNucci was like such a good guy to him and he can go to him for advice. I thought that applied for all wrestling trainers, that they were sort of like a motivator and someone that could be there for you. And so I remember when a wrestler named Latino Velez ended up unaliving himself, JT Lightning, this is when I first started playing, started training. JT Lightning came to the center for training that day, and he said this big speech about, you know, how sad he was for Velez and his family, and if you guys are ever struggling with anything, to come to me and talk. And I don't remember the exact conversation, but I remember taking that to heart. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to this guy to try to talk. And I knew JT could be kind of bipolar, but I remember one time trying to pull him aside and being like, hey, do you have a second? And I was like, you know, my dad isn't really supportive of like me being a wrestler. And were your parents supportive when you were trying to be a wrestler? And I remember he was just real weird about talking about all that stuff and just kind of standoffish and talking about how he was just going to do whatever he wanted to do. And he didn't really say anything that helped, and he just didn't seem like he wanted to offer advice or delve into that. So then that was just kind of my moment of like, okay, I guess I can't go to this guy like he said I could. It doesn't seem to want to be bothered with it.
I bet the intention was there, but, you know, I don't know. We'd probably have to ask his kids about how it was to talk to him like in a personal situation.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a commercial break, pay some bills. When we come back, we're going to go to the interview with VNDL48, Atticus Cogar, Otis Cogar, Christian Napier, and then we'll come back at the end and we'll wrap some things up. What do you say, Aaron?
I say good.
Oh, okay. That's a good thing to say. We'll be right back here on Iron on Wrestling. All right. Well, you know, Aaron, your health and wellness is incredibly important.
Yeah, not just physical, but mental and physical. And then when you combine the two, that's two of them together. And when you say two, it's kind of like saying tea. NT.
There is a T.
There's two T's.
There's a T in 2. And yes, TNT-health.com. Great supporter of Iron on Wrestling. That's where we get our supplements. I get my protein there, my organic vanilla protein, which I can mix with anything, my creatine, my glutamine. I've got some pre-workout Vroom Zoom Zoom pump that I used from time to time, though it's got a lot of caffeine, I think like 300 milligrams, so I use like a half a scoop because I don't want that caffeine crash. But you know what? Even when I've used a whole scoop, I really don't feel the same type of crash that I feel from an energy drink. Aaron, you used a lot of products from TNT-health.com that really has changed your life for the better.
Sure has, Greg. And you know what I found out?
What's that?
When you use the products, you look good. When you look good, you feel good.
It's kind of how that works.
When you feel good, you work good, or you play good, or you do both.
Brother, you know I'm a worker.
So let's go, man. I mean, that's all you got to do.
Check out TNT-health.com. It's free to look, and if you purchase any of the supplements on the website, Mike and the good folks over there make sure that you also are buying results, and he's going above and beyond the call of duty to make sure that you're meeting your nutrition needs. Whatever you want to do, bulk up, trim down, somewhere in between, Mike will stick with you, help you track your macros, your nutrition, your protein, your fat, your carbs, all that good stuff. Usually that doesn't get offered from places like GNC or Vitamin Shop. And if they did, they would most certainly charge extra. It is no extra cost to get this life-changing advice from Mike and the good folks at TNT-health.com. And you could save 10% if you use our promo code IRONON, IRONON, IRONON. Save 10% on anything you buy. So don't wait. Act now. Go to TNT-health.com because at TNT Health, it's about your health today, not tomorrow.
Hey, speaking of tomorrow.
Yeah.
Do you know anybody that could make a design for me that would maybe go on a shirt I could get tomorrow?
Well, yes, I do, actually. And he's only just a couple clicks away.
Oh, no, you're not talking about.
I am.
You are?
I most certainly am.
I have a good buddy.
Well, that's the
same good.
That's the same good buddy I'm talking about.
Yeah, mine gives $4 off if you mention Iron on Wrestling.
Oh, then we're not talking about the same buddy because I'm thinking about Juan Ortiz and of the
Dead
Designs. And usually
$4 off.
When you mention Iron on Wrestling, even though he's been in the business for nearly 20 years and he's made incredibly prominent designs for all of the major players in WWE, AEW, TNA, New Japan Pro Wrestling, etc., he actually knocks $20 off of your first design when you mention Iron On. That's pretty crazy, and you can get 4 alpacas to sniff your mustache with all that money saved for $5 each. That's pretty crazy. $20 off. You can get anything you want designed for yourself. Some sort of piece of art for your house. Maybe you want to get something made for a gift for someone that you love. Maybe someone you hate. Maybe you want to make fun of them and maybe just make their life worse. Perhaps you need a logo for your big or small business. Juan Ortiz and Of the Dead Designs can make that happen. So I think if you're not doing it already, you should follow Juan Ortiz on social media, but then also send him a message and mention the show so you can save money. He's over on Instagram at Of the Dead Designs, Facebook.com/OfTheDeadDesigns, or go to his website. Do you know what that is, Aaron?
It's a Weebly.
There is
one of the Weebly.
Yes, we're not reinventing the Weebly here. It's ofthedead.weebly.com because Of the Dead Designs is bringing artwork to life.
Hey, before we go.
What's that?
These people got to check out his clouds.
He makes good clouds.
All right.
I don't want your pictures uploaded to those clouds, though. You're going to have to...
Oh, you're going to get them.
No.
Don't check your phone.
All right, let's go to the interview with the Cogar family. All right, we're sitting in my beautiful little breakfast nook here in the Iron household, and I'm with 3 gentlemen that haven't seen all together in a little bit, especially this piece of shit, Christian Napier. Of course, the Cogar brothers here as well. Now, VNDL48 now.
Yo, pop a 40 and check your rollies.
All right.
Wow. Brooklyn.
Wow. Yeah. Well,
Shad.
Hey, he died a hero, man.
He did.
He always was doing heroic shit, man. It's always the good ones, right?
Right.
Goddamn.
Always.
How's everybody doing?
I'm doing good. Great.
Doing all right.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
Good to see you guys. Otis, you're a little cut up.
A little beat up.
Yeah. Shoulders hurting you.
Shoulders hurting me.
Pinched nerve.
Pinched nerve.
Been,
Two holes in his arm.
Got 2 gross holes in my arm. Yeah.
yeah. That's all from the tournament of
Survival.
Survival. Yeah.
That was Matt Tremont. Yeah, that one was from him for sure.
What happened exactly?
After these guys came in, tried to help me win the match because
That's what family does.
that's what family does.
Mm-hmm.
Joey interfered. Janela threw Christian over the top rope, threw him to the outside. Asshole. But Tremont came off the middle rope with a giant bundle of light tubes and glass.
Yeah. That's always fun.
Yo, fuck Dr. Redacted, by the way.
Yeah. I'm not a fan.
Hear about that. Shoot, fuck Dr. Redacted.
Oh, please go on.
Okay. Otis versus Dr. Redacted versus Beastman. First round.
Okay.
Okay. The planned finish. I think you're gonna backtrack. But when he said he didn't want to lose or take the pin in the match. Yeah, Redacted was crying that he had to take.
Oh, we're really shooting here. Pow pow.
Yeah. And he was crying that he had to take the pin in the match, which the point of Otis beating him is because we know he's so loved. Like Brett knows that Redacted is so loved that that's going to get him the heat going into the finals to eventually put Tremont over, right?
Yeah.
This motherfucker, dude, takes a chair shot, which is the planned finish.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to complain about him putting his hands up,
I get it.
3 feet in front of his head. But what I will complain about, 1, 2, 3, Otis goes to stand up, not even on both of his feet. Redacted sits up, no sells the finish.
Now, see, that's when he should have got his ass beat for real. This is, and that's how you know the real ones in wrestling and the guys that, the rumor has gone around and it's evident that he wasn't properly trained. He doesn't know what he's doing. And for whatever reason, probably because he does stupid shit, he's over with a portion of the audience. But if you had any sense and you were trained properly, it seems like when I say this, it would just be logical. But if you can put someone over well, you can also get over pretty well as well. I mean, I don't understand how so many guys don't understand that. And remember, it's pretend, everyone.
That's the biggest part. That's the biggest part for me where I just lose respect for Dr. Redacted because, him as a person, to me, he's always been nice. He's always been fine.
Yeah.
But
he never talks to me. I don't know why.
What? That's a different conversation.
Oh.
But the thing that I just find disrespectful is, okay, let's say he's done a little bit of training, whatever. If all these fucking people, especially a lot of the people in the locker room who are in top positions, are calling you out for not being trained, you're either not trained or you're just not good. So maybe go train.
Yeah.
Go find a school. Go do something to improve what you're doing. He's hurt so many of my friends, dude, and people just keep wrestling him and putting him over.
He almost fucking took out the crowd, dude. He threw a ladder right into the fan in the front row, right to her face.
Yeah, it was
Jesus Christ!
Ricochet off of a chair. I gave Beastman a Sabu chair while he was up on the top rope. Sabu'd it to him, and it ricocheted off he threw the ladder at him right afterwards. It was supposed to be like a 2-punch combo kind of thing, and it ricocheted right off and smacked some girl right in the face.
And once again, it's just it's no common sense either. Kind of related. Did you guys see that video not too long ago from some deathmatch show where a dude lit a chair on fire and then it stayed on fire and then he kicked it out of the ring, but it was still on fire. And then fans or whoever was doing the crowd control, they had to literally start kicking the chair out of the building and put it out with 5 fire extinguishers.
I have no comment on lighting chairs on fire.
But you would have enough sense to not kick it out towards the fans while it's still on fire.
Yeah, there was some charcoal fluid or something on that. I kept it lit for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, and I think we've kind of talked it. I'm sure we've talked about it in private, but deathmatch wrestling can be good if done correctly. But so many guys, again, they don't know how to get over in general, so they do the stupid shit, not considering that, if you just had a little bit of psychology and you build up towards things, maybe it would be a little bit better. I mean, since we're kind of breaking down the walls here, Christian, Otis, last time we were in the ring together, I mean, it was the 4-4-0 split deathmatch deal and at Ruthless.
Match, yeah.
And, we had, shout out to RPW for putting us on opening match, because it gave us the opportunity to, the people didn't see anything yet, but also we could build the things to where we kept it very simple, where the thing that some guys will do all throughout the match, just panes of glass like crazy, like we actually built to that. And in retrospect, we probably made it a little crazier because was it you, Otis, that suggested, oh, maybe like we do like a neck breaker to Christian for the finish? And I was like, no, like what about a cross body off the top while you're power bomber? You guys are like, what? And I was like, I feel like that's better, and it was not.
No, it was all right.
That he wanted to do the crossbody over the.
It wasn't so bad until I watched your face ricochet off the glass.
I got lucky. I got very lucky.
You guys had 15 and went 44 minutes.
Listen,
I don't
Was hot the entire time.
Was it 15 or was it 20? I feel like we had 20. We might have had 25, but whatever the case was,
we told the story.
The crowd loved it, and I'm really proud of that match, and I think everybody brought it, and
proud of Vince and Alice.
Wish I could have been in it.
Well, do you want to go down that road or no? Well, I know we're going to tease it a little bit later. You have a documentary coming out next week, next Thursday, the 26th.
Yes, which is also our 10th year anniversary.
It's going to be on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about it now. We'll come back to that later towards the end of the podcast. Like, is it just going to be solely focused on you, or I know you thought that it might be like a change of direction with this VNDL48 thing. So what's the deal exactly?
Yeah, it's kind of turned into more of a visual diary. It's kind of the idea I originally had was like the road to Cage of Survival. I knew I was wrestling Joey at Cage of Survival. I knew it was going to be a big weekend. But when I announced it, the match wasn't announced yet. So I didn't want to announce that I was going to be on Cage of Survival. So I kind of just announced it as like a Atticus Cogar Raw Reflection documentary. And I think people, once I uploaded that, like all the promo pictures over the last 10 years, people thought that it was kind of like a retrospective of like my career, and it's definitely not. It's just like a bunch of behind the scenes shit. It's kind of like a scrapbook in video form, just like a messy skate montage, but wrestling.
I like that.
Kind of like a CKY video.
Yeah, I'm into that. That's sick.
That's exactly what it is. There's some bloopers.
Okay.
Past promos. I got some 440 bloopers in there.
Mm-hmm. In one of your teasers, you were talking about promos without delving into what you're going to do. Like, what's that going to look like? Is it just going to be like how they're filmed, the psychology, like the meaning behind some of your stuff? Because again, going back to when you guys started training, I mean, you guys stood out with your promos, and that was like so important to me as someone that was helping you guys learn. I was like, wow, these guys have the promo down. You know what I mean? Like if they can get the wrestling and a decent attitude, they'll be all right.
Yeah, I kind of go over just what I think is important about promos and why I think that everybody should be doing them, and what they mean to me and how they've elevated my career. I definitely show some like behind the scenes stuff of filming different promos.
That's awesome.
Like the making of gear, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Talking about there's just so much random stuff, like talking about skateboarding.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also doing like the 10 questions.
Okay.
Which has kind of taken over the documentary. Originally, I only want the documentary to be about a half hour. Okay, I haven't put all the videos together yet, so I have no idea how long it's actually going to be. But I kind of fucked myself when I told everybody I was going to do the 10 questions thing, because after I sat there and answered all the 10 questions and looked at like the time on those videos, it's like this thing's gonna eat up most of the documentary. So that's why I made it kind of just a messy montage of stuff.
I can get into that. Christian, you know, we had you on the podcast. Was it a couple of years ago now? It seems like it's been forever.
Casey.
Yeah. So like, obviously, you're aligned with your family now. You're kind of, it was all over the place in the 440 situation. How do you feel over the last couple of years working with your actual family, two guys that have psychology down, are getting opportunities within professional wrestling that you're still trying to earn? Like, how do you feel like that's elevated your game in general?
Man, I feel like a couple of years ago, if you were to see who I was then, it's a totally different person, because I feel like hanging around with them more in like the wrestling aspect, they showed me that it's okay to like be yourself in wrestling, and you don't have to be somebody you're not. Like when I was brought in, I was like given a wrestling name, given a wrestling character, and said, okay, this is who you are. Do it. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So before, that's why I was saying I was Casey Carrington before. Somebody who I would go out there and I couldn't feel. I could get into a character and I could, you know, act as this character, but I can't present it as good as I could present myself, you know, turned up to 1,000, because that's what they say. The best characters in wrestling is yourself turned up to 1,000. So now I feel like when people watch me, you're watching me for the first time, because for the first time I'm like myself out there, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you've been killing it. And I've always appreciated your work, and it's been a joy watching you grow, because I see you're very Greg Iron as a bad guy. You know what I mean? And again, talking about the redacted thing, you're not afraid to look stupid, and just you got egg on your face, and that's okay. Like, I feel like, I mean, you're the one that brought heat to that death match that we had in November. You know what I'm saying? And just the idea of you wanting to make it a wrestling match so we could build to the death match stuff. And in retrospect, if you go back and look, what outside of the pane of glass, a couple of doors, you know, you brought out the fucking gimmick, the knife or whatever, the razor.
Vince gave me some gusset kicks to the chest.
Yeah, like we didn't do a whole lot, and you know, I think you deserve a lot more credit than you got, especially taking that finish. I mean, like, it was pretty dumb of me to do the finish, but you taking it, I mean, that's equally as scary. Like was it even a question when it was suggested for you to take that spot?
Yes, I don't know, especially around everybody. Like, I care about all you guys. You know, I feel like we put so much into this match specifically that, I mean, there was no question what I was going to take.
Yeah.
You know, further the ending to that story, because it really just had like a perfect ending to it all.
I think so. And real quick, before we kind of move on a little bit, what do you say to all the guys on social media that were saying like, "Whoa, yeah, he went through the glass because he was wearing a whole bodysuit"? Like,
I watched COS. I was wearing a hoodie, so suck my dick.
it's like, you know, you're still going through glass, like totally unrelated. I can't remember if we talked about on the show before the interview this week, or if we did in the bonus podcast, but you know, there's the thing with Jon Moxley and AEW getting sued because he pushed down a cameraman. And I'm reading the comments, and these people are saying like, fucking cameraman's a pussy, doesn't know how to fall, like blah, 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 trying to money grab. I'm just like, hey guys, there's a lot of factors to consider here. It's like, well, he fell on a thin mat. Okay, but if you're not trained to fall and some wrestler just pushes you on the ground and you're not ready for it, and you fall on your side, you know what I mean? Like,
even as a wrestler, it still sucks to fall. Like, you can't lie about that.
But again, I've said it a million times. It's like, you know, it's not fake. We get hurt in ways we plan on getting hurt. Like, when I went through that fucking pane of glass, I didn't expect my face to go through it. And luckily, it was only one gash of glass that I got, but it was a big fucking gash, right? So, you have gashes on your arm right now, Otis. I mean, like, Atticus, how are you feeling right now in general, physically? I don't know how much you've talked about it in public forums, but you were having some up and downs a little bit with, losing a lot of blood. Where are you at as far as that goes right now physically?
I feel the best I've ever felt.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Like, my diet's the best it's ever been. In the gym consistently. Yeah, I feel great.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit with the iron deficiency?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, I don't remember what year it was. It was sometime while I was doing like the Circle 6 ICW stuff, and they were kind of working together. I was supposed to wrestle Eric Ryan on an ICW show, and I just felt like shit after every match that I had, especially when I would bleed. Even when I would like smell the blood when I first got cut, it would make me sick to my stomach in the middle of the match. It was very weird. And I felt like even in regular matches, I was getting blown up just during my entrance, just doing random shit. And I was getting blown up at the gym too. And I would even go on like the elliptical and grab like the fucking things that get your heart rate.
Yeah.
So you can see it.
Yep.
And I'd be like researching on my phone, like what's your heart rate supposed to be?
Yeah.
It was definitely up there. So eventually I got it checked out, and anemia runs like in my family. And I thought that it was caused by death matches because I was just bleeding nonstop. But really what was happening was my body doesn't absorb iron like it's supposed to. So I have to take, not only do I have to take iron, but I have to take special vitamins so that my body will absorb the iron that I do take. And your red blood cells hold your oxygen. So if you don't have enough red blood cells, that's like what was causing me to get blown up and stuff. So now that I'm not bleeding as much, I do occasionally, like I make it mean something, but now that I'm not bleeding as much and I'm taking iron and my diet's way better and I'm taking like green supplements and all that kind of stuff, it's changed my life.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so, the thing we've been talking about this month is mental health. And I don't know if people really take the time to think of it. When you physically feel like shit, obviously that's going to weigh on you mentally. So like, talk to me, and I'm going to go around and ask all you guys, but like you personally, when you were struggling with this shit and you didn't know what it was, and then you did know what it was, and like, you're getting over because of the deathmatch stuff, but obviously you have to reel it in for your own well-being. What's going through in your mind? Like, how is that affecting your day-to-day life?
It was affecting my day-to-day life by just, I was just very groggy, very tired, very unmotivated, didn't want to do anything. I was going through like personal shit at the time, and even like when I had first left GCW was running on such a consistent schedule at the time when I was with them, that when I got let go and was just like working Circle 6 in ICW, that's 1 show a month, 2 shows a month. So I went from working, 3 to 4 times a week to once or twice a month, and I went fucking crazy. So like dealing with that on top of finding out that I was anemic, and I'm trying to build this Circle 6 company. Mike Georgian was running it at the time, so like he wanted it to be a really big deathmatch company, and he wanted to put me as like the face behind it, and it got to a point where it's like, dude, I can't do it. It's not that I don't want to, I just literally like I can't bleed.
Yeah.
So there would be times where I'd have death matches for Circle 6 and I just wouldn't bleed, and it's just because I just physically couldn't, and that took a toll on me mentally, just because I felt like I was going through the motions for money and not, 1, I wasn't getting over, 2, no one was really watching the shows because the company was so new and they were figuring out streaming problems and all that kind of stuff. And then on top of it, I was just having like really shitty matches. So yeah, it was rough.
You and Christian both, for a while now, you guys have been working out with Vincent Nothing. Yeah. Obviously former member of 440. Christian, how do you feel like doing the workouts with Vince and everything? I mean, it's obviously improved your physique. Like, where does it put you mentally as far as performing goes? Like, now that like you've been doing the strength and conditioning with him on a regular basis.
I will say this: I thought that I knew how to work out before working out with Vincent Nothing, and I was one of those guys in the gym that people that knew how to work out probably looked at me and was like, this dude is a fucking moron. He has no idea what he's doing. Because now that's how I feel going to Planet Fitness and places like that by myself and seeing people work out. It's made my body feel 10 times better. Like, I know when I'm working out a certain muscle, I know that I'm actually hitting that muscle, so the next day that muscle's sore. I'm not waking up and like my biceps sore and I've been doing shoulders all day, so
yeah,
it has completely changed the way I feel going to the gym. I like going to the gym now. I actually enjoy it. I don't wake up in the morning like, fuck, I gotta go to the gym, gotta do something. I don't even know what I'm gonna do. I walk in knowing I have a program, looking at what I'm doing for the day, get it done. So,
What do you like working out the most? And I guess sidebar, when it comes to my mental health, I'm being injured right now. I'm learning to sort of relax a little bit, which I have a very hard time doing. But I feel like I'm missing something not having the gym, not because of like the act of physically lifting, but speaking for myself, when I put my headphones on and I'm just there, whether it's 45 minutes, an hour, whatever, I feel like I get some of my best thoughts just in that process. So like, do you get anything like that
100%.
mentally?
It's kind of like distracting your brain with activity, because if you're not doing anything, you're just going to sit there and constantly think about stuff that doesn't really matter in the long run. So yeah, going to the gym, staying active, getting out of the house is like one of the most important things. Even just going outside for 5 minutes and breathing fresh air really changes your mental mindset with a lot of things, for sure.
Do you have any like wrestling thoughts that come to mind, like when you're in the gym? Because that's where I'm thinking of like promo ideas, or I'm hearing, I talked to you guys when you were younger all the time about like, if you could steal from song lyrics, and if it resonates with you, you can twist it and make it your own. So all the time I'm hearing something and then I'm putting notes in my phone and like, you know what I mean? Like it's awesome. Otis, you dropped a lot of weight going into this deathmatch tournament.
I did.
Was it just the motivation of knowing that you were, going to put in some time in this deathmatch tournament, or like, was it for your health in general? Like, what were the motivating factors in just dropping weight? I mean, because you look amazing.
Thank you. Truthfully, the motivating factor was seeing a picture of myself from an ICW show in early December. I saw a picture of myself was facing Tommy Trainwreck, and I just looked like shit. I looked like a bowling ball, whatever you want to compare yourself to, but I looked terrible. I just thought, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm the big guy. I've always been like the muscle in the tag team. I've always been the bigger guy in the tag team, but like you can be in shape and still be the muscle of the tag team.
100%.
Just slowly just started just going to the gym more. And I've always been a gym guy. I've always worked out, but but the diet, as some people may know, the Cogar diet has never been the healthiest diet. But I still eat the same. I mean, I've increased my protein. I've increased, healthy foods in my diet. I eat a lot more red meat and things like that. But I cut down the amount of calories I eat. I have just worked out heavily. I go to the gym probably on a 7-day period. I probably went to the gym like 4 times a week.
That's
plus
awesome.
Whatever plus we wrestle. So
yeah. What was your last weight?
So if you go back to December, I was 320. I weighed myself today, and we're probably about 6 months out. I'm down about almost 70 pounds, between 65, 70 pounds.
That's fucking crazy.
I'm about 350 now, or 250, excuse me. 250.
Yeah, I would have never guessed you were 320 though. Like, you always were well, I guess. You know what I mean? Some people just do.
I kind of built up. I always had like a upper body. I was always bigger upper body, but like you could see it in my face. I could see it in promos when we were doing all the 4-0 promos, and like as the months went on after we were done doing those promos, I could see like my face slimming down. I could see my shirts fitting better. Like I'm the size I am now. I wasn't even this size in high school. I was bigger in high school than I am now.
That's crazy.
Wild.
That's crazy.
When I was in 7th grade, I was wearing Otis's first grade t-shirts.
This is facts. This is honestly facts. I was a husky kid my whole life.
I was husky in 5th grade a little bit, and then when we almost got taken away from my parents and we were in Wellington, Ohio for a second with my aunt and uncle, then they didn't feed us at all. So then I dropped the weight and I never put it back on. So it was great. So parents, just starve your children and they will turn out just fine. We got a lot of questions the past few weeks about mental health stuff, so many that we keep catching up from past weeks that we didn't get to these questions. But one of the questions that stood out that I thought would be good for you guys in talking mental health, because everybody's got their reason, but I think it all goes back to the same place. Corey Grant sent in a question. It's pretty simple and to the point. Why do you think pro wrestling attracts so many people with mental health issues. Otis, I'm going to start with you. It doesn't have to be based on personal experience, but you can. Like what do you think made you, as someone who, like anybody who might have mental health problems, what draws you to wrestling?
I mean, now that I'm 10 years in, it's definitely the camaraderie amongst, hanging out with, my brother and Christian, you Zach, the being around everybody. That's what it is for me. I'm not exactly a social butterfly, but I'll hang out and talk with people in the locker rooms, and it's when I'm sitting at home doing nothing, staring at the wall when I've got no wrestling matches going on and I'm not traveling and I'm not doing anything. It tends to bring out the worst in you, and
Yeah.
being able to travel, being able to wrestle, getting that energy, feeling the crowd, it definitely brings out a side of you that, some people that aren't in this and don't understand it, they don't really feel it. But it also goes back to, I'm a big concert guy. I go to concerts, I travel everywhere. I go to states away to go to a concert or a festival. It's the same people that know that concert high. They know exactly what I'm talking about. So
Yeah.
it's there's a certain level of like, what is it, dopamine?
Yes.
That hits your brain. It's when the music hits when you walk out and you feel the rush, the energy. That's totally different than just sitting and getting a new video game or just playing a new video game or just going to do something fun with either a significant other or something. And not to take away from personal life, because personal life is still just as important as wrestling life. But
Sure.
the from a fan's perspective, they come in, they see something awesome in the ring, they see their favorite person, they see their favorite wrestler, they see all their friends. It's a camaraderie. To put it lightly, it's just that's what I look forward to when I go to a wrestling show. It's hanging out with everybody and seeing everybody.
I agree with that 100%. I was just talking to someone yesterday about this, and they were asking me, how many close friends do you think you have? And I always kind of in my brain, it's always like a small, little, tight group, right? But then I thought about it, and definitely more so than when I was younger. I just started thinking about you guys coming over today, and I was like, I'm so fucking stoked, right? Because I love you guys. And I feel like more than I probably think, there are a lot of guys, like another person that comes to mind, because I just saw him a couple weeks ago, Cody Lane. There are a lot of guys that if they were in town, I'd be like, hey, if you're not doing anything, come over and hang out, or I'll come out and see you, just because, I don't know. Before I was in wrestling, I just felt like a weirdo. I mean, I'm still a weirdo, but I felt like I didn't belong anywhere. And then once I got into wrestling, I realized there's like-minded weirdos like me. And, it's good to separate wrestling from personal life sometimes too, but wrestling is such a big part of my life, and just the friendships that I made through wrestling, I'm very thankful for that, right? I think it's a bigger circle than I give it credit for. Addie, for you, why are people with mental health issues drawn to professional wrestling?
I think that it's simple. I think that people with mental health issues, think they say to talk to a therapist, and it'll help you come to realizations and just talk out your problems. And I think that mental health issues, it's like inner turmoil, right? And I think inner turmoil can be turned into characters. I think inner turmoil can be turned in, especially through wrestling, it'd be turned into applause in boos. It can be turned into a story. For me personally, coming into professional wrestling directly out of high school, I was a shitty little kid. So I had to learn how to grow up in the business while being a performer, but I was still doing these promos about how we came up in our life. And don't get me wrong, like me and Christian live together right now. We live in the ghetto of Cleveland, and we will kill you. But at the same time, I haven't been in trouble in a long time, so
That part of the hood doesn't leave you though. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't consider myself a badass, but like there's a level of no fear that I think I have that most people that would go over to that side of the bridge on the west side and have, just because like I was in it for so long. I just don't think about it. Continue.
But like now it's like I'm 10 years in, and most of my past experiences about trouble and hard life are, when I was a teenager and like being brought up like that. So like when I left GCW and I wasn't consistently just like going through the motions of my brain anymore, I had to really sit and process my emotions and I luckily I had a big awakening through it, but I had to like learn how to be Jordan again. And it was a difficult process, and I think I kind of came to the realization that I was really living through this Atticus character, and it's because of my inner turmoil, my mental health issues, I was able to explode it into art in various forms throughout professional wrestling. So I think that fans, it's kind of a similar thing, but it's just more about like relation to certain things throughout wrestling, and that's why people are fans of certain people.
Did you guys, and anybody can jump in on this one, as far as like, I think before you actually get into wrestling, we think about the basic things. We think about roughly what our character would be, and it's usually not what it ends up being. We think about our entrance music and that moment where you get in the ring and you do your fucking pose, right? I never stopped. I knew it was going to be hard, but I never stopped to think about the physicality. And I didn't think the physicality was something that I would be drawn to. And I don't want to say look forward to it, but like when people, because I don't know if I'm going to get emotional. I don't know if I'm going to wrestle again. And I think if I had to think about the one thing that I would miss, because I'm not going to be able to replicate it, the physicality, and like thinking about like in the moments that have mattered, like Christian in that death match for the finish. Like so I started my book on that scene, like small, so it doesn't look like a wrestling match, and I bring you out of it. And I didn't go in depth about it, and I'm sure I will at some point, but like, and tell me if you guys can relate. And I feel like I can only say this. I think Cannonball said something like this in his speech. If you were to say it outside of this room, it'd be like, you're a fucking psycho. I'm already bleeding early in the match, and that's self-harm. Razor, right? But then in that finish, when I go through the glass, the shard pops up into my face, and I can just feel that warm, fresh blood running down my face, right? And the feeling where you've got through the match, and everything went pretty okay, and it's all over and the pinfall's about to go down. I don't know. And I've really tried to think about this. I don't know if I felt a feeling of euphoria like in that particular moment, because it just felt so peaceful.
Peaceful. I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
The sound was silence, complete silence, and it just felt like everything was over. Like it felt like how the match was presented. Like this was the end. This was it.
Yeah.
Like the end of a war movie.
Can you even imagine anything else you've ever done in your life that has made you feel that way?
Not at all. And I think about this for people that live like a quote unquote normal life, or just work their 9-to-5 job and then just look forward to vacation once a year. Do they have those moments of like, it felt like going into that match or being in the middle of that match, you don't know if you're gonna survive it, or if you're gonna see tomorrow. You're fully in the moment of what's happening right then and there.
For you personally, Christian, getting into wrestling, obviously, why are people with mental health issues drawn to wrestling? My answer has always been, I think that we are whether it's true or not, we feel like we're lacking something. For you personally, do you feel like you were lacking something, and did you find that in wrestling, or did you rediscover something about yourself that you maybe had to work on?
So I would say wrestling has been in my life since my earliest memory is being in my basement with the John Cena chain on, you know, playing his Dr. Thugonomics theme song. So
5 years ago.
I never really, me in school and me and like friends at school never agreed. I've been to like 13 different schools. I didn't
Really?
Even, yeah, I didn't even graduate.
Why so many switches in schools?
Well, my family would move a lot, but I also got kicked out of like 2 or 3 schools just because of not agreeing with people or getting in fights at school.
Because he's a hoodlum is what he is.
I never had friends. I was the kid at the lunch table who'd sit by himself, but then, you know, some honeys would come over feeling bad, and
I
it
doubt
turned out
that.
okay. But,
Okay.
but yeah, no, that's why I started training at 16 years old. You know, I was more focused on training at 16 than I was graduating, so that's just, wrestling has always been a part of who I am, and I feel like I really feel like myself when I'm in the ring, you know, because I feel like this is the same for fans too. They go to a wrestling show to escape real life and kind of just live in the moment and be fully invested to what's going on. Like, how normal is it to scream at a guy like, you suck, you know, or cussing at him? How normal is that to do that to anybody? Everybody's too scared to do stuff like that. But also from a wrestling perspective, I didn't know how many people were actually like the same mindset as me with wrestling. You know, people like you, people like Zach. I didn't know that stuff existed because I was either confined to not having friends in school or just hanging out with all my cousins. Because if you know me, all my friends are related to me. So
Yeah, it's wrestling is something special, and I think one of the best things that I've learned over the years is, I mean, just today, somebody reached out on Instagram to tell me how much these mental health episodes have meant to him, and you know, it's been helping him come to terms with a shitty year, and he wants it to be better. And like, I don't know, sometimes we have to step outside of ourselves and realize what we're doing for other people. You know, as I'm actively going to therapy, as I'm writing this book, it's incredibly emotional. And what I'm figuring out is like, sometimes when we're in our own head, we have to pretend that we are our own friend and think about like, what would you guys say to me if I was verbalizing what I'm going through? You know, you guys look at me different than I look at myself, and vice versa. And I think that's something to keep in mind. Now, one of the heavier topics this month, which is kind of the reason why we decided to do this, and it's Men's Mental Health Month or whatever, you know, Aaron's sister, you know, passed away. Don't know the details, but basically, in some form or fashion, it was a murder-suicide. You guys, you've dealt with a lot of suicide in your family, so if you guys don't mind talking a little bit about that, and like, you know, what that's done for you guys mentally, and yeah, that whole experience. I mean, that's trauma, you know.
Right. Yeah, I think that mental health, no matter who it is, should be taken seriously. Obviously, I think that it's really sad to try to process the fact that someone you know or someone you love is having that much of like a difficult time in their brain, to where, you know, their mind convinces themselves that they're no longer able to, you know, move on with life. We've had a few suicides. Our grandfather on our mother's side, which is my mother's stepdad, he took his own life. My father's youngest brother, my father's one of 8, 4 girls, 4 boys. One of those girls is Christian's grandmother. So like my father, Christian's grandmother, brother and sister, and that's how we're related. The youngest brother took his life. I don't remember what year it was, 2015.
It was 2015. He took his life on my birthday, of all days, too.
Yeah.
It was a shocker to wake up to.
And Christian, I believe you've dealt with suicide on your side.
Yeah, my uncle's on my mom's side. He took his own life. My aunt, she didn't take her own life, thank God, but there has been some, situations where it's gotten close to that. But thankfully, she reached out like most people, everybody should do reach out because, there is always somebody to talk to.
I think that as children, because we were kids into teenage years when, we dealt with this. So I think that as children, you process death differently. I don't think you really know exactly what that means. You just kind of know that, they're not in your life anymore. And, me personally, I kind of looked at it from a selfish standpoint of like, oh, I lost somebody, I'm sad about it, right? But like as I've grown older and got a little more spiritual, I can say that like I look at it from a different point of view, and I never condone suicide, obviously, but I think that or I hope that my family members, our family members who have taken their life, I hope that wherever their soul is, that they're not hurting because of making such a drastic decision, and I hope that if we ever see them again, we're able to let them know that we didn't judge them for what they did, and that we love them, and we're sorry that they hurt so bad. But you just feel helpless, and there's really nothing that you can do about it. So
Yeah.
besides be there for somebody the best you can be. You obviously can't drain yourself in that process. And I think to our defense, when we dealt with it, we were kids. So
I mean, I was older. It was my 25th birthday when we lost our uncle, and when we lost our grandfather, it was on his funeral was on my 14th birthday. So
Jeez.
It was a couple odd tragedies, but when I was older, dealing with my uncle, he going through all that, I was sad. I lost one of my uncles, but I also was there for my cousins. I was there for these guys. I was there for my dad, my aunts and uncles. It's you take away, you get rid of the fact that you're sad about your loss, and as far as family's concerned, we had to step up and be there for our family. And my dad, obviously, all my aunts and uncles, my dad, they were very sad, very distraught over the whole situation. You don't try to understand why they did it, because we're past that point, obviously.
Sure.
It's just now it's time to, how do we keep it from happening to the next person?
Yeah.
Especially again, mental health runs, and terrible mental health runs in all families, ours included, obviously. You don't want to let that next bad thought hit somebody else. And if you can be there for somebody else, whether it's a text message, a phone call, visiting them, staying up all hours of the night to talk to somebody, it doesn't matter what it is. I've done the same thing for myself. I've reached out to people, family included, just to talk.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need that conversation, and maybe the conversation is nothing other than just chit-chatting and whatever it may be, but sometimes you just need to have that conversation with somebody, even a 10-minute conversation.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need that.
Well, I told you guys before we started recording, and I'm not going to name names, but, there's people within the wrestling industry that I worry about. And there was someone particular a couple nights ago that was on my mind. And I know that they've been going through stuff. And I sent them a voice recording. And then, long story short, a little bit of banter back and forth. And then this person asked to borrow money. And I knew it was coming from probably a bad place, and I gave them this money knowing that I'm probably not going to get it back. But as a kid that dealt with a mother with drug addiction, I remember that feeling of, I need $20. Oh, can I get 20 more bucks? And I gave it to this person. And so now, like, my mental health is like, well, when something if something happens to this person, I tried to be there for them. Now I feel like I've contributed to their demise, and it's just it sucks. And especially as we get older in wrestling, and again, this camaraderie, we're losing people. It's part of life. Cannonball, right? Like, it makes me so sad because like no one, not one person, name me someone that could say something about Jeff, and it made me so sad hearing the news because I wrestled Jeff twice, and they're two of my most favorite matches that I ever had. Like, I'm so proud of them, and I don't know, man. It's just hard to come to terms with, but you have to try to be there for other people because you never know what they're going through, and you never know if like something you could say could change their perspective.
For sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Oh boy, that's getting pretty emotional here. Maybe we should wrap it up.
I got a controversial thing to talk about.
Okay.
That kind of has to go back of like, you like the blood trickling down and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So, do you think that like it's fucked up that like fans that we're like turning self-harm into this?
So, well, I'm glad you came back to that because that was on my mind the whole time we're talking about it. And again, as I'm trying to verbalize this as I'm writing, I don't want to encourage self-harm, right? I would never want that. I remember as a kid having friends that talked about doing it, and I didn't know if they really did it, but I had a girl that lived across the street from me that I hung out with a lot. Like, she was my friend. And
Did you fuck?
no,
Oh, okay.
but I think we could have
Damn,
when I first moved in the neighborhood. But, and this is no joke, when she wanted to hang out and I was pretty sure that she was into me, she goes, oh, yeah, like, my parents are going to be around this Monday night. You want to come over? And I go, I do something with my family on Monday nights. And she's like, oh, okay, well, they're going to be home, the next couple of days, but we could do something Thursday. And I was like, me and my family also do something on Thursday night. And so then we just became friends after that because
You could have,
I dropped the
Monday
ball.
Night Raw with her, Greg.
I fucked up. But anyways, she definitely was into self-harm. And I saw her do it and I didn't understand it. And I knew wrestlers cut themselves, but there was no correlation. It's just something you do because it's wrestling. But now being in it, it's like,
Right.
I don't do it without meaning, but when I have done it, it gives me a feeling that I don't want to say that I like,
Right. Yeah.
but there's nothing else that feels like it.
Yeah. I
And-
think it has long-term effects too, good and bad. Like, for me personally, I've noticed right now in my life, I'm at like a really good point mentally. Like, I feel good and I'm happy with my life and I feel very present. I don't feel the need to bleed in matches. I don't have that itch right now.
Yeah.
But it's different when like I'm going through shit for sure. But I don't like consciously think about that. I just catch myself doing the most brutal death matches and stuff when I'm going through shit.
Sure.
So,
Well, I guess I should also preface it and say there's never been a time when I did it, and it might be different for other wrestlers. It might be different for you guys sitting right here. There's never been a time where I said, I need to bleed to get that feeling. It just so happens that when it happens, I get that feeling.
Yeah.
I don't think about
I don't
that.
mean to come. I just come.
Yeah,
No.
well, no, but yeah, but like I do it for the story because I don't want to fucking bastardize it, right? Like, I want it to be meaningful. Like, when I do it in my wrestling career, I've probably done it more than I would like to, but it's at least 2 handfuls of times, no more than that. But I feel like it's always meant something when I did it. What do you want to say,
I have
Christian?
a
There's
funny
something on your
story.
mind. Go ahead.
I don't want to say it before I forget. This was a couple years back. We're sitting in a car. I think we're going to a GCW show you were on. And this dude, Atticus, is looking through the window in the back seat. And the whole day he was just, tired, moody, whatever, staring out the window. And he just goes, oh, I need a bleed.
There it is,
Caught,
right there.
caught.
There
All right,
it is.
I got one more topic relating to this.
Okay.
Because I don't know if you've ever talked about it on here. I've only heard one person talk about this publicly, and that's John Wayne Murdoch. I have the worst adrenaline come downs after crazy death matches. Like the next 2 days after death matches, especially if I have to fly or if I'm in a car for a long period of time, I will get to the point where I'm like music video headphones in, staring out the window crying.
It is the absolute worst.
wow.
I have this exact thing.
Really?
Especially, I don't want to. It's not even just death matches. It's regular matches. It is a like. Again, I was talking about concert, like having the same feeling of like a concert high. Leaving festivals, you have a concert high by that Tuesday afterwards, and maybe you're going to your job or whatever. That come down is the absolute worst, especially after a wrestling match.
Yeah.
Or flying home after a show. It is like depressing, looking out the window, the rain, sad music hitting, and you don't even know how to feel sometimes.
And I've looked it up, and like it talks about, you know, the adrenaline. You know, your adrenaline was spiked so high at one point that while it's coming down, your brain's not producing enough serotonin. But like, if I wouldn't have looked that up and gotten smart to it and just let myself be sad, like it gets pretty bad sometimes.
So I don't know if I've ever felt sadness. I will say that I definitely had like the come down where like I have a pounding headache like the next day for the whole day. It keeps me wired for sure. Like I have no problem. Like if we were doing H2O in fucking New Jersey, no problem driving that fucking 7 hours back because I'm good to go now, right? Because I got that adrenaline rush. But I will say this: the one incident that I think about that as soon as it was done, I don't know if I ever told you guys this. When I wrestled Johnny in a last man standing match at PWO, what I didn't think about the year prior down at the Nautica Pavilion, that's where I almost died. Okay.
Right.
So I had that concussion with brain bleeding, and then I came back to do this match, which was playing off of that real life concussion with Johnny. And I remember before the match, I had like a weird feeling. And I guess I thought about it after the fact. That's like, I mean, it was definitely trauma induced, right? Like I'm back in the same place where I literally almost died. And even worse, most people don't have their near death experience on tape. And so this was literally tape at the time. It's never seen the light of day still. When I came home from the hospital, I kept watching the tape of me getting concussed over and over and over and over again to where Johnny's stepdad threw it in the fucking trash because it was all I would do. But I will say this, as soon as the match was over, when I went to the ring, my arms went numb, which I've never had. And it's not like you can call a timeout. You got to fucking wrestle now. And then when I got to the back, I immediately broke down in tears and I like gave Johnny a hug, and I was like, for whatever reason in that moment, I felt like I had to tell him like how much he and his family meant to me, because at that time, you know, over that year we had really grown as friends, and his family was letting me into their house for $200 a month so I can try to be a fucking poor ass wrestler, you know? And that meant the world to me. And I felt like if this was ever going to mean anything, it's right now where I'm incredibly emotional and vulnerable. So I definitely had a moment like that, but I've never really felt the inherent sadness of like, well, it's all over now. I'm going home.
So I'm fortunate, you know, some people don't have a significant other in their life. I'm married, and my wife, she has, you know, we're both into like tattoos and piercings, and you know, people know I have a split tongue. If you don't know, it's the whole procedure. It was like a scalpel and a thing. I don't know that it gave me a rush, but it is a body modification. It is a slice. It is a pain. My wife has started doing, she's done it a couple times now. She's done the suspension where she hangs from the hooks in her back and different posing and stuff like that. And it is when she was done after the first time, like she passed out during the first part, the first lift. And she had to come down, and it was like it was a rush of pain. It was a wave over her, and she came back to it. She got her legs under her, and they said, "You want to try it again?" And she got up there, and she swung around in the air like a chandelier, like she was swinging from a chandelier for like
hell no
for the better half of like a half hour.
That's wild.
And then got down, she had that rush that, you know, we talking about after a death match, the pain, just that serotonin that goes to your brain, the dopamine, and we go out to eat afterwards, and she's feeling great. She's feeling great. This was on like a Saturday or Sunday. It was after I did TOD for the first time. By that Tuesday, Wednesday, she had that come down. She felt the pain, everything was sore, everything sucked. She went back to work, nothing was fun anymore. She looked forward to the suspension. So what did she do by the end of the week? She had scheduled another one. And a few months later, she did it again. She went even crazier, just as we would do in a death match. And as I'm speaking now, she's got another one scheduled for later this year.
Good Lord,
she's psyched. But as somebody who never understood it, we had that conversation. She's like, I understand how you feel, and I feel that. I don't want to call it a depression. I don't know if that's the right way to word it, but it's the come down, the sadness after you had such a rush and a feel good moment essentially. And so somebody in my life that's not a wrestler understands it, and it was kind of a realization that it actually is a real thing.
And it helps that when it's someone that it's your partner, right? And it's nice when you can have that moment where they can understand what you're doing. And especially in wrestling, it's hard to find a partner that really understands.
Absolutely. She's there for me 24/7. If I, she especially now that she gets it. Back in the day, I took some time off. We went through I took time off for her. I don't know if I've ever talked about that, but I took time off for her to let my brother run free and do the GCW, start taking all the bookings. But before I came back, I had a like sit down with her, and I needed to get back into it. I missed it. It wasn't just because I would go to some shows with him or like come watch you guys wrestle. I needed to get back in it because I missed the physicality of it. I missed the energy. And once I got back into it, once I started doing some crazier stuff, some of the death matches, once she saw how the grand scheme of it all, and then she got to experience it for her first time, the rush, the wave of everything, she understood. She has a slight understanding of what wrestling means to me on a mental side.
Yeah. Well, we're all mental for being wrestlers, and we're going to keep doing this until the wheels fall off. Well, one of mine is the one that matters fell off. So, I'm pretty much done for. But you know what? I'm glad that we can still have this camaraderie. We can sit around this table and have this conversation, a very vulnerable, very open conversation. And I think we probably don't even realize it, but by being so open and honest, we're not only going to get closer with the fans, but just more relatable, man. Like people are going through it and they need to hear shit like this,
Man, fuck you, bro. It's already gone too long. Give me my fucking money.
All right. Well, I'll do that off air. And I guess before we go, one last time, next week, Thursday, June 26th, the Atticus Cogar documentary. What's the name of it?
Raw Reflection.
That's going to be out on your YouTube?
Yes.
What's the YouTube?
It's at Atticus Cogar 211.
Okay.
I haven't even announced that it's going to be on YouTube yet, but this can stay in.
Sure.
I don't know what time yet, but I'm going to pick a time to premiere it.
All right, so be on the lookout on social media with Atticus, and you guys plug all your stuff. Otis, Christian, what do you got? Plug your social media.
Everything. I'm on everything. Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, you name it, under Otis_Cogar.
Instagram, Christian Napier 00.
Thank you guys so much for talking with me, and your check's in the mail.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Oh, thanks, dog.
All right, that was the interview with Addy, Otis, Christian, VNDL48, and as I said, be on the lookout for the documentary dropping on YouTube. That'll be on June 26th. All right, that's it for this week. Like I said, we're going to have more stuff over on Patreon. We're rebooking, it never happened. We're booking O.J. Simpson versus Roddy Piper. over on the podcast, as well as a plethora of recent wrestling news. We're going to talk a little bit about the Jon Moxley situation, the lawsuit with AEW, maybe some stuff that happened on SmackDown or King of the Ring predictions coming up, and a lot of other stuff. So
Stephanie Vacure.
We might talk about her over there. She's got some good signature moves, I would say.
I'm busy.
Oh, you're staring at the screen as she is on it. Okay, so that's it for this week. Hey, follow us on social media at Iron on Wrestling. Subscribe to the YouTube if you haven't already. Subscribe wherever you download podcasts, iTunes, Spotify. We're on Audible, for God's sakes. Anywhere you want the podcast, you can get it. Follow us on social media. You can follow me on social media at Gregory Iron on X, Gregory_Iron on Instagram, Facebook.com/The Handicapped Hero. And you can book me for pro wrestling seminars or motivational speaking engagements. I think, haven't got it set in stone yet, but I'll keep you guys posted. I might be doing a wrestling seminar / motivational speaking engagement in Chicago next month. Very excited about them. I'm hoping to have some more news about my July in the near future. Some stuff that is wrestling centric, but not professional wrestling, because I think I'm done for. And prowrestlingtees.com/Gregory Iron. You can donate to my GoFundMe, which is listed in my bio on Instagram. Obviously, donate to Aaron's sister Emily's GoFundMe, especially if you want to be involved in the raffle. $10 gets you in to win the pile driver pals of both Aaron and myself. And Cameo, if you'd like a shout out of some sort. Cameo, just search Gregory Iron. Aaron, what would you like to plug?
Hey, what are those boots that Stephanie Vacure's wearing? Are those felt?
You're looking at her boots?
Well, they would be if I was there.
Okay. Oh, you wanted to feel the boots. I got you.
No, seriously, they look like they're felt.
Yeah. I didn't know you were a foot guy.
No, I'm not. I'm just looking at these boots.
Gotcha. All right. Well, these boots were made for walking. We're about to walk on out of this podcast, but you got to plug something. What do you got?
At Fair to Air on Twitter. Nope, I don't even have that anymore.
Okay. All right.
At Fair to Aaron on Instagram.
Gotcha. All right. Well, hey, until next week, we'll see you later. And if you can't wait that long, go over to Patreon. Until next time, kiss goodbye.